Alright, so this video is going to be for Preston, or anybody that wants to know about the goat feeders that I used. He had a question, I believe it was about this feeder, because that was the feeder I was using in the video. He commented on how I like this feeder and whatnot. I made this feeder. It's got two 2x12s for the bottom and then a 2x6 around it. I want to say it's 12 feet long. I don't have my tape measure on me, and I haven't been to the barn to get one. But it's like a 10-inch gap. Actually, it might not even be 10 inches. It's about 8 inches. I just kind of guessed at it when I made it. I think the blocks, the end pieces are a foot. So this feeder, he asked if the goats could get in it. Yes, they could get in it. I hated this feeder. And in the video he commented on, the fattest goat, the oldest, fattest goat was the one that would always get up in here. And I hated that they got up in here. Little kids would get up in here too, but not as often as she would. Every time you feed, she'd jump up in there and get poop in the feed and all that. I did feed hay out of it because when I was using this, I got rid of quite a few of the goats and I didn't need such a big feeder. So I would put a bale and cut it in that end and feed grain in this end. They seemed like they wasted quite a bit of hay doing that. So the reason I made this feeder is because for feeding grain, I could broadcast the grain into it. Versus the other feeders that I had, which I'll show you here in a second. Because when I had the most I had at one time as far as goats was 22, and when you got that many goats and you have to feed through the feeder, you get ran over. With this, I could just broadcast the grain through it. So there's that feeder. I did not like this feeder. It would be better for cattle, and I'm probably going to revamp it for them eventually, but I might just take it apart. I broke one of the legs off of it moving it. It's been sitting outside, so the wood's got a little soft. But I do not like that feeder. I'll show you the feeders that I do like, and how I made them, and everything. So I'm making this at night because I'm out here feeding, and I don't know if I'm going to want to make any videos in the daylight this week because it's going to be cold. I do have to make one about the curtains on my building, so I'll probably do that tomorrow before it gets too cold. But here's the other style feeder I made. This is a 4-foot feeder. I got the design from Premier One. They do fence and stuff like that. And I made 2 of these 4-footers and an 8-footer. And these feeders worked really good. I liked these feeders a lot. The only problem with them is if you have hay up here, in here, you have to dump the grain into the side, and it made it kind of a pain because your goats, they know when you're going to feed them, so they're over here at the feeder waiting, and you got to fight them off. And there's one thing I didn't like about it. My grandpa went and added the bottom board down there because he didn't like the goats being under it. They'd get under it and pick it up, knock it over, which I guess is a problem with the little one because it is light. He got rid of his goats and he gave me this feeder back. I never used the 4-footer. I always use the 8-footer. We'll go take a look at it. Oh, and another thing, I put these on there just to kind of keep them from pushing, because if you got one down here that's out of feed, it's going to want to push down, and it worked, but it didn't work because they would just pull their head out and headbutt the other one, and it would pull its head out, and if they got horns, they kind of get hung up. So I took them off of my 8-footer because I really didn't see a benefit of it. So we'll go back here and look at the 8-footer. I'll be able to turn my heater on, so I'll be able to talk a little bit more. It's not be as cold. And I would do a video of my creek feed gate, but it is buried in the back of the goat barn, or not the goat, I keep calling it the goat barn, the cow barn. So I have to dig it out to make a video of it. Okay, let me get my heater going, so that way I can stand here and talk a little bit about these feeders. Let me pause you. I gotta take my gloves off. I'm gonna try to do these without editing them, so. Alright, so I got my heater going here. I wish I had a bigger heater to heat this barn. But here is the 8-footer. I got it. I just flipped it up on end yesterday because it was taking up too much room. And you can see I don't have the bars on it. But it's built just like that 4-footer. I mean, from there to there is the 4-footer. So the reason I built, I'm gonna put my glove on. I built the 8-footer and the 2 4-footers. That panel, the wire panel in there, is a sheep and goat panel from TSC, 4 foot tall by 16 foot long. Those are, I think, $50 a panel. So I didn't want to build one and waste the other panel. I built them so I could use every board possible that I had to buy to make one, if that makes sense. So I bought all 16-foot lumber, and I bought, let's see, 2 sheets of plywood, because they're 2 foot. Let me get a measurement here. I got my tape measure over here on the tractor. I did have it in my pocket the other day, but I built them to use every board possible. And I think I ended up with 2 legs left. Yeah, they're 2 foot by 4 foot or 8 foot. And they are, I think, 4 foot tall. Oh, come on. I think I got 2 legs left, and I saved them because I marked all the legs out. Yeah, they're 4 foot legs. And the feeder to the top rail is 21 inches, and you can vary it because the little kids had a problem. But to the bottom of the feed pan there, where the top of the plywood is 18 inches, and then it's got a 2x4 on top of it to make a ledge so they don't knock all the feed off. Sure, that's actually a 1x4. This here. That feeder worked great, other than, like I said, you had to fight the goats off to dump the feed in. But I loved that feeder. That's why I haven't sold it yet. I have been selling off some of the goat stuff, but I'm not selling that because I love it. And I could build more. I actually sold one of the 4-footers because I didn't need it, but it didn't bring what I thought it should bring. So, because around here the Amish have started making this style of feeder with fiberglass ladder or not rungs, but legs. I don't got a ladder in here to show you. They're using the rejected pieces of fiberglass that they make ladders with to build this style of feeder. And they're selling them reasonable, you know, I think like $300. And that's what I was trying to sell an 8-footer for, and I was trying to sell a 4-footer for $150. I think I took the one 4-footer to an auction and got $85 out of it. But like I said, I got the design from Premier One. They used to have it for free. I don't think they have the design for free anymore. I had the plans. They also had a like a fence line feeder that was just single-sided. I thought about making one of those if I decided to feed outside, but I didn't. I wanted this style. And when I used to have this up against the wall. I put a piece of plywood down on the one side so the hay wouldn't fall to the other side. And they didn't waste a lot of hay with this feeder. It worked out really good. But I think to build the 8-footer and the 2 4-footers, I had $300 in material, but I got the 3 feeders. And with one cattle panel, you could build, or not cattle panel, sheep and goat panel, you can build 2 8-footers, 4 4-footers, or like I did, 1 8-footer and 2 4-footers. I think it works better with doing the 1 8-footer and the 2 4-footers because that gives you a variety if you have a couple different pens. And that's why I'm hanging on to the 1 4-footer in case I run 2 pens or whatever. But those are the goat feeders. And for the creep feeder, I used a hog nursery feeder. And I just took the divider rings out, or not the rings, but the stainless steel panel that they had, because the goat ear tags kept getting hung up in there, and the one actually ripped his out, so I took that off. But I don't, let me look over here. I had the one leg over here, but I think I used it on something. More than likely, if it's not behind this piece of plywood, I used it. Unless that's it on the floor. Nope, that ain't on the floor. Yeah, I think I used it, but it had all the measurements, and I was going to measure and read them off to you. But I'm going to try to either link that set of plans, or I think I have it saved on Google Drive. I'm going to put my email address. I made an email for the farm, and I'm going to put that in the about thing on YouTube, and probably in this video. You can email me, and I'll try my best to email you the plans back. And for anybody, if you need to get a hold of me or anything, that's my email. So I don't want to give my phone number out, except to a select few people that already have it, and maybe a couple of you down the road. But that'll conclude the video of the goat feeders. Like I said, I'll make a separate video about the creep feed gate that I used when I get it dug out. I might do that when I talk about the kidden pens or something, because I'm sure there'll be a couple people eventually ask me about that. But Preston's getting into goats, or he has done the goats. He's doing kind of like what I wanted to do a while back, do the feeder goats. So it sounds like he's having pretty good luck at it, and he's just expanded and wants a different feeder. And that feeder that was outside, I don't know how tall it was, but it was somewhere about the same height. And like I said, the little kid goats, was a little difficult for them to eat out of this. A lot of them would put their feet up on these to eat, but still it was a pain. So when they get up to about 60 pounds is when they would start eating good out of this feeder. This is better for the adult goats. But it all depends on how long you're keeping them. You'll just have to play with it. You know, I didn't build this one to where I could adjust it easy. This one was built to stay. I use nails. If you use screws, you could take it apart and lower that feed table and everything. And when I bent, let me talk about this. When I bent that, because that is one piece, 1 4-foot piece. I didn't cut it. I didn't do nothing. I bent it. And what I did, I found that middle, you can see right there is one of these, it'd be a vertical piece there, but horizontal piece. I found the middle one, and I laid it down on the ground. It was a little bit harder to do the 8-footer, because the 4-footers, what I did, I cut them and then I bent them. I put my excavator blade in the middle and just bent them, folded them over, and then I couldn't get the degree I wanted with them on the excavator blade, so when I got them bent at least at a 90, I could just take them and lean on them and push them down. So that's how I did that. But anyways, we'll end this video. It's about 15 minutes long, me rambling on about the goat feeder. So I hope that helps, and we'll catch you on the next one.